And I mean, we know that Black Lives Matter as an organization is funded by George Soros, so I mean, that is definitely a source of income. So,
That's
but
probably
I
a lot of
wouldn't
money.
I wouldn't call that the end all be all. It's not like, oh, scary Jew Soros is the puppeteer of all American politics. He's
I have
just
to say that
he's
when
just
they were talking about that.
Something that funnels money into the hands of people I wish didn't have as much money as they do.
I actually say that I did quite agree with the academic agent's position on the Jewish question, where he's basically like it's an antiquated notion because you can't just blame this whole thing on the Israel project and things like that. It's too much more complicated.
I would
At
suggest
some point, when you just keep blaming the Jews for everything, you can't find the real reason for it, and you just end up relying on that.
one of my pet theories is that essentially the lack of a nation states for the Jews in the medieval era essentially made them the first victims of a lack of national identity of this sort of cultural leftism. And so that kind of stuff is their culture is the most corrupted by it just because they lack that foundation going back so far.
I just would say that it's one of the Israel project is one of those projects that's incidental leftist project rather than a primary leftist project. Uh,
Well, the Israel project was supported by Hitler. I mean, it's not, and it's supported primarily by the Republican Party. It's not really supported by the American left or many lefts at all.
Yeah, a lot of the American left is anti-Israel, so they would be inherently against
Why would you
them all
do
gathering
that?
in the same place. Because Peter.
Friends are in the other room.
I don't know.
Are you really?
It's okay.
I'm gonna say I think it's not one of the
Sorry.
most concerning things in the
No.
world in the moment.
Yes,
and
we are.
I don't know if we should really be funding it though.
I would say
Oh, chill.
the connection between the Jewish ethnicity and leftism is real, but I don't think it's a cause and effect sort of deal where
Oh yeah.
there's like some thing inherent to the Jews that just kind of emanates leftism.
I think it's primarily in their teachings in the Talmud or whatever, and the way like they were essentially part of society in the early formation of Europe. But if you look at like Jews from the Soviet Union, they're mostly conservative because they see what these fucking what like all this leftist policy leads up to. So it's inherent in them because of probably their religious upbringing and the way they've been living in society and passing thoughts down for generations. But it's not to say that this is the end all be all, that they will ever like forever be like this.
I think the fact that the state of Israel is, basically untouchable by the rights is just kind of an oddity of the essentially upturning of the hierarchy of the power structure of the world politics.
Well, I would say that it's a product of the post-war narrative after World War II, and it has nothing to do with the current day at this point, but it just persists nonetheless. Kind of like the whole thing where Japan continually refuses to officially admit anything about the like massacres in China and shit like that. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things that's heavily based in the post-war narrative in East Asia, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the current modern-day politics. Is one of the reasons why people get pissed off about it a lot. Well,
Right.
to be honest with you, I don't really.
I mean,
think Japan should
it's
apologize for
definitely
any of these
a
things at this
part.
point.
It's definitely a part of politics still, but it's not. It's not a single narrative. It's not a series of causes and effects leading up to everything that's going on today.
Well, I'm
know.
just saying, like, it's one of those things where the
American politics today would not be that different without Zionism.
No, it would be
basically.
fairly the same. I mean, well, we're giving them like 10 billion a year in comparison to what the U.S. actually spends. This is nothing.
Right.
So it wouldn't change anything if we had like an extra 10 billion.
The real question is why we're spending like almost 300. We're spending like trillions of dollars a year and getting no results is the real question.
It's the faulty policy that was established in the post-war years in the Middle East. Right now, like Israel is essentially just like a proto. Maybe you could. Fuck! I spilled my drink. It basically acts as like a stronghold in the Middle East to keep away foreign powers.
Well, no, I was more talking about the fact that the United States spends like, hundreds of trillions of dollars a year or some shit, and basically most of the money never goes anywhere useful. It primarily gets eaten up in like 5 seconds by most of the agencies and goes nowhere. What was it? It's like it takes like one of the alphabet agencies on average about 9 minutes to spend like $100 million or something. Something like that.
That would be a
Might
lot
have
of money
increased.
spent over a year.
Well, that's right. That's literally what it is. That's the average spending for period of standard period of time, basically.
Maybe. Sounds a little high to me. But
It
again,
does, but
whenever I do see the numbers on U.S. budget spending, I'm appalled and surprised. So.
Well, what I can tell you is that just the Fed's budget this year was like $500 trillion or something like that. And
I didn't know we had
they
that much
lost-
money to spend around.
They lost 150 trillion in accounting error or something. So this is the level of the U.S. government spending. The Fed can't even
Dude, they have infinite money.
afford
There's
to get
this is
Excel.
like magic money, dude. Magical
Actually
money.
fucking
Change
Money
the
printer
count
go
numbers
brr.
correctly.
Central banks, dude. Infinite money. Central banks and their infinite money, dude. Money is a scam. They just create it out of nothing.
Money is a scam created out of nothing. I'm not so sure about that.
I think the dollar is.
Well, no, I mean, there's always, whatever culture you're looking at throughout time, there's always a transaction medium because
The American dollar is just trust in the U.S. financial system.
Well, I mean,
It's a scam.
essentially, but I mean,
Dude, I think my audio's glitched.
it's a transaction medium that is useful because it's available and you have the it's supposedly backed by something and you have the
it's
what
not.
is it, the fucking
Infinite
Ah.
money by the
I can't fucking manage to properly
common cat.
regurgitate Thomas Sowell right now, and I'm blanking on this. What is it? The
On like, are you trying to like explain why
double
it's a
the
stable
double
currency?
the double coincidence of wants, where the two people need a transaction medium in order to trade the
Yeah,
objects
yeah.
properly. That's all I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That
like if
does-
some guy wants eggs for his meat, and the other guy sells eggs for I don't know some fucking bread, they're never gonna make a transaction. They need something that has inherent value, and that's what
exactly.
the other currency is. That's a
Uh,
double coincidence at once.
I was wondering.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Alex. What do you think about this fucking
In America,
4chan
they-
meme where
everyone
every
hates
time they
everyone.
talk about like
Everyone
the
hates
spending
everyone
and the
in
US
America.
dollar, they say that we should just get rid of the US dollar and make a cryptocurrency that's backed in gold.
Dude, okay.